All right, so this is part two. I just thought I'd split up the recordings because I've had recordings split off before, which was really annoying, and I don't want to do that again. So, come August, I had my concrete done in my driveway. So, yes, when you buy a new house, surprise, surprise, they don't actually do the driveway for you. You have to get the concreting done separately. I was well into the contracts that I was working on with the consultancy that I was contracting for, and finished a couple of smaller projects with some other businesses, which was great. I had a few speaking events and also part of a marketing campaign, which was really cool. So I had a Senvic speaking event, which I've had a few reels on my Instagram. I was also filmed as part of the Melbourne Uni marketing campaign. And ironically enough, these two things were on the same week. They're actually back to back. I spoke at an event, I think on Wednesday night at the Senvic event at the State Library that went all the way to like 10 o'clock. And then I had to be at Melbourne Uni like less than 10 hours later for a full day of filming a marketing campaign, which was a really unique experience, quite embarrassing, but pretty cool at the same time. And then also, while I built my house, my best mate also built his house right next door to me. So my best mate actually moved next door to me into his house, which was really cool. It was like a primary school dream come true in many ways. September rolls around and I'm leaving for Europe, or Singapore and then Europe. So I got landscaping done around the house, which was good. Again, preparing to leave for Europe and Asia, so just a lot of packing, getting the right equipment, just a lot of packing really, and visas, just making sure I've got the right visas because I was going to Nepal and I needed a visa. The biggest thing that happened in September was that my one-person business got acquired, or at least the offer was made in September, and that was amazing. Like from September to April, I think only 5 months had passed from when my business was almost at the point of failure to now actually being acquired by a large consultancy, which is bloody amazing. Later that month, I left for Singapore on the last day of the month, I believe. And then the very next day after I left, I became an uncle again. So I became an uncle again. So my middle brother had a child. So my two brothers were now fathers, which is a very odd feeling to see your siblings as fathers, and they're great fathers at that. A big thing that happened for me again in September was that I actually cracked 10,000 Medium followers, which was amazing. I set up quite arbitrarily that 10,000 Medium followers would be my goal that I would have for all of 2023, which was just like, it just grew so much that I hit it by September, which was unreal. October, I transitioned into an employee of a new business with equity stakes. So part of the deal was that they would acquire my business. I'd get a very competitive upfront salary, and then also a very substantial equity stake in the new business. I got to visit Amsterdam, so this is now my first time in Europe. I spoke at the largest social enterprise event at the Social Enterprise World Forum 23 in Amsterdam, which was amazing. I got to experience the city and just really embrace it. And quite honestly, it was quite a surreal feeling just being in Europe. I just didn't think I'd make it here for most of this year. I did a lot of travel at the start of the year, and then to kind of bookend the year with two big trips was really, really cool. And I got to visit Lisbon. So I was in Portugal for about 8 days. I got to visit my cousin and stay with them for a couple of days in Barcelona. I really loved Lisbon. Sorry to jump back and forth, but I really loved Lisbon. I think it's one of the countries in Europe that I could probably live in and base myself in. And they've got a 5-year digital nomad visa, which, with no age requirement, I think it's just a financial requirement. So I would love to, maybe mid-30s, go to Lisbon, live there, base myself out there for a couple of years, live there, and then move to different places. Went to Barcelona for about a week. That was really cool. Barcelona is absolutely beautiful. The weather was fantastic. Got to see some pretty cool things like the Parkway, Sagrada Familia. Went on a bunch of bike tours and walking tours. It was really cool. I just got to meet some really cool people. And then I got to go to London, and I visited my best mate up in London. He's been living there for about 4 years now. And I got to see my first English football game. It wasn't the EPL, but it was two EPL teams. It was West Ham versus Arsenal at London Stadium. So that was an incredible experience, and hopefully not my last one. From London, I flew back to Singapore, 13-hour flight, and then from Singapore flew to Nepal literally 12 hours later. So I was very jet lagged and absolutely tired. but I went in Nepal and stayed in Kathmandu, and I actually spoke at the 37th CASI conference, of which I'm like a part of the young entrepreneurs group in Nepal. That was really cool. And then at the same time, during October, my medium followers grew from 10K to 17K, which is just like bloody unreal. Like I did not expect to be at that level so quickly. So October was just really just a full month of travel, digital nomading across all these different countries, and yeah, just really enjoying myself. Um, Come November, I returned back from Melbourne about late, early to mid to November, which was good. So it was starting to heat up again. It's starting to get warmer. That month, I also cracked 20,000 medium followers, and then I also traveled with my really close friends for a Sydney's boys trip, which was incredible. Never traveled with them before together, so this was really nice as adults to do it. And I think November is just a big period of just settling in. I returned back to full time work. I then had time and space to think about, okay, where do I want to take this one person business? As part of the acquisition, I probably should mention that I had a client which I was doing ghostwriting for that wasn't part of that acquisition, that I've kind of now spun off into like a productized ghostwriting service that I want to scale next year. So, I mean, that brings me to December, but November was really just settling back into my routine, back into Melbourne. I've gone for about 44 days. And yeah, December was huge. I essentially launched a new one person business for productized ghostwriting services that incorporated the lessons from the first business, so all the things I fucked up on. I launched my second lead magnet around the questions I asked myself around building a one person business. These are questions that I've actually used myself, and I iterated on my first lead magnet, which was just a PDF ebook. This one is also a PDF ebook, but I challenged myself to say, how can I add more value to it? And actually having like a Loom recording with that lead magnet was something that was super valuable for a lot of people, and I got really good feedback on that. December was actually a time when I realized what I wanted and what I want to do with my life. And I actually just said, I think I don't want to do some of the other stuff that I was doing in a previous life. So I started my career in the community, not-for-profit charity sector, and I still had a lot of residual legacy positions that I was holding on various boards and whatnot, and I wanted to let go of that. So I just resigned, and I think they were really surprised because these boards are quite hard to get onto. Actually, you have to be appointed by a government minister to be on them, and I just resigned. Didn't just told them that this is where I want to go next. I want to move into this creator one person business space, and this doesn't really serve where I'm going. So I just kind of moved on. And I think one big lesson for me was just around identity change, and that it's hard, and that the cost of your new life is the death of your old one. That's something that really rings true from that experience, is that you're going to have to let go and make space for new things to come through in your life. And resigning from those boards was both, it wasn't hard physically to do because it's just an email, but symbolically it meant a lot to me in the sense that, shit, this is this line in the sand where I'm committing to this now. I've not got my foot in any other camp. I'm fully into this camp, and I'm just going to focus on it. And yeah, I'm recording this. It's Saturday, 30th of December. I've just cracked 25,000 Medium followers. I also am sitting on 2,250 email subscribers, which is, unreal, really. And I've also built out my one-person business email sales funnel, which I've kind of sketched on this. So I've been really thinking about a lot of things about where I want to go next year and how I want to get there. And then I've also set up my home office and studio. So you can't really see it, but I've invested in some bookshelves. I've got this new Omni desk that's a standing desk. I've got proper lighting. I've got cable management under this. I've got a Sonos speaker over here. I've got a walking pad so I can get steps in while I'm, either doing courses or whatnot, or I just need to stand up. So I'm really investing a lot of my time, energy, and money into building out where I want to go. And I think for a lot of people who are, looking at their their New Year's goals, they always try to add to their life. One of the big things I am now doing is I'm like ruthlessly taking away things, because it's so easy to add things. It's very hard to take away things. So you can't always keep adding, because eventually you'll just break. So anyway, that's pretty much my whole year. And I don't know how many people are going to be watching this, if anyone, but really these videos are just for me and a bit of a public journal for me to keep track of what I've been doing, where I was this time last year, where I'll be in a year's time. And overall for 2023, I've traveled to 9 countries, spoke at 2 international events in Amsterdam and Nepal, gained 1,600 new email subscribers, gained 20,322 new Medium followers. I think that's more because I did that last week. I published more than 110 Medium blog posts, so roughly one every 3 days. And I've published 35 newsletter editions at the time of writing. And I've also created a lifetime of enduring lessons and experiences that will stay with me forever, especially the travel experiences, some things that I don't want to talk about publicly. But yeah, just like some really great experiences that I think it's just going to stay with me forever. I'm now an uncle as well. So yeah, my life has changed immutably over the last 12 months. It's been absolutely wild. And it's both been challenging, as I said, really scary at times, but ultimately one of the most rewarding years of my life. I can't describe how rewarding it has been. But I think that brings me in for plans for 2024. And I think I might make this into a 3rd video. Otherwise, it's getting a bit long.